Maybe we should start off with the meditation later. I have no idea what that was. But I think there were two of them. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you back. A couple of new people here. And just so you know what's going to be happening as far as I know it tonight, we're going to, for the new people, we started out by reading this book. Or actually, we started out by reading the previous version of this book. And we're going to, and if you want to know the vocabulary or what we're talking about or some of the concepts or ideas, why it's all in here. And we're going to, starting in January, the first Monday in January, we're going to do another book reading. So we're just going to read the book in a group, like a AA book study, except that we'll stop after every paragraph, and if there's questions or sharing or anything like that, you know, we'll just take as long as we want to take and read through the book and see what it says again. And that should be a good opportunity for the people who didn't do it with us originally to catch up and see what's going on. And those of you who did do it before can see how much differently you hear now, hopefully. So that's sort of my plan. I think we'll probably take 3 weeks off in December and then start in on a book study in January. So 3 weeks ago we did Everything I See is Hypnotism, and 2 weeks ago we did Everything I Hear is Hypnotism, and last week we did Everything I Think is Hypnotism. So what, in one sentence, what's the lesson that we're trying to get from Everything I See is Hypnotism? What's the point of that lesson? What would the realization be that you might get if you practice that for a year with the flashcard? Mm-hmm. It's a dream, that's one way of saying it.
Yeah.
My thoughts are not reality.
That might be a good thing to learn about the third one, but how about Everything I See is Hypnotism? What does that mean? I mean, the real fundamental false belief that we suffer with, that we dictate our entire lives by, and every decision we make and every thought we have is all based in one belief, which is that the material world is real. Yeah. Everything I see is hypnotism. The point of that is to get the fact that there is no material world. Okay? So now in that vein, what do you suppose the point of Everything I Hear is Hypnotism is? What do I hear? Who's talking? Bingo. The point is that everything universal mind says, which is everything I hear from other people, everything that I hear on the news or television or newspaper, or everything that I hear is a lie about the material world that we have discovered the preceding week is hypnotism. Okay? And we could spend a year on each of those flashcards, trying to break through the depth of the conditioning. But I just wanted to make sure that we get a sense of what the progression is, that there is no material world, and that everything that I hear or read or am told, or television or media or advertising, all of that is trying to convince me that the material world is real and significant to me and important, okay? And I mean, that's the kind of hypnotism that we're trying to break. So, with that said, let's move on to Everything I Think is Hypnotism, and who wants to share about what your experiences were with that, because I'm sure we had a variety of different experiences with thinking. Yeah, please.
I'll start. Hi, my name's Christy. You know, so funny, because I had the flashcard in my car, and I kept looking at it, and, okay, every time I thought, it's like, okay, I did the hypnotism. But Mike and I did White Tantric on Saturday, and it's this ritual, and it's 8 hours of yoga and stuff. Anyway, I was talking about it with Lori and Diane and Marianne and Lee on Sunday. I was telling them all about it, and Lee had asked me a question. I was telling them about the pain in the body, and Lee asked me a question. So why do you think? Where do you think the pain came from? Why did you think that you had the pain? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. It was so intense, blah blah blah. All this description. And then last night when I was doing my 10 step, and it was 9 o'clock, and it's like, oh shit, I got it. It was my thinking. That's where it came from. And it really made it really register for me, because the whole time, you're doing these steps, you're doing these exercises for 62 minutes, and I cannot tell you the thoughts that came through. And you want to stop, but I worked through it, and it was like, oh yeah, it was all my thinking. That's all it was about. It was all about me to watch my thoughts, to buy into them or to not buy into them. I could quit, or I could continue. And the only thing that was going on was my thinking. And yeah, and it was like, and I got it, but it was so, when you asked me that question, I didn't even get it, but then, thinking about it, I did get it.
Everything you're doing there is your thinking trying to convince you that you have a body that can tire, and a mind that can weaken, eyes that you get tired, and eyes that you're looking into that are focused on. It's just endless.
Yeah,
an endless story about what's going on.
And all of them together really got me in touch with how much I rely on my senses for input. What I see, what I hear, what I think. It was like, whoa, it's all just bullshit. It doesn't mean, even though I know that intellectually, it's not, I haven't seen, it's like, yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I got it, but I don't really see where intellectually that has changed my experience yet. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I got that, I see it, but, that's all it is that it's just I'm catching it. That's it.
Well, that's the point of this exercise,
is
to drop at the level, and we're not going to get it. We're not going to all suddenly realize that this is all in our mind, but we can drop a level into it and play with it, and we can at least get the statement. We can get the letter of truth. We can get the knowledge that what it's saying is what you just said. That my 5 senses are all confirming a lie. And that's in this book, by the way, for the people that are starting. We talked about that a lot. That there is no difference. I think I said when we were reading the book that I can't think of a way of proving that this is any realer than my dream last night. Because in my dream last night, all 5 of my senses were working, and there was material stuff there, and there were all these things, and tangible things, and fear and terror and all that kind of stuff, And my claim is that there's no rule there's no test that you can come up with that distinguishes between this and that. And the reason I can say that is, of course, because there is no difference. There is no essential difference. It's all in the mind. This one's longer. But that's the point. Yeah, and Mike had fallen asleep on the couch the other night, and I came out to turn the TV off, and it was David Letterman and I guess Ted Koppel, and I heard bird flu, and it was like, and it was like, I didn't even know, and it's like bird flu, and I just went, nonsense, click, and I didn't even know what bird flu was until Mike said, I go, I don't know any of that, it's like I make a point not to get into that news, whatever, Yeah. I love bird flu. I don't know what it is either, but it's going to cost us $9 billion. That's all I know about it. I don't even know what pandemic means. I know pan means all. Who else? Yeah, go ahead.
This is my favorite one because everything I see is hypnosis, and everything I hear, that was, what Christy said, it was kind of just like, okay, got it intellectually, whatever, this is all, it's all nonsense, but, all of them help me with the script stuff, at least to drop, all concern a little bit, and with the thinking one, it made it help even more because I was able to, because when I would try to, look at everything I see and everything I hear as an illusion, I would try to figure it out in my mind. Okay, well, why is this illusion? Like, okay, this is an illusion, trying to step back, but then now with the thinking one, it was like whatever I was thinking about the illusion is nonsense. So once I, like Barbara says, keep from keeping from illusion, something like that.
Yeah.
And so once I was just able to drop everything that I was thinking about the illusion, it was just another level of going into the silence for me. But I'm not kidding.
And Barbara's talking about way high. The point is keep from illusion. And then immediately he says, keep from keeping from illusion. Okay? And because the keeping from illusion is the thinking. Okay? Dropping it all. Good, cool.
I had two of them that were interesting. One was watching what I think other people should do and what I think about other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. I got all kinds of ideas about everyone in the world. And I just was so alert as to that. And it's all nonsense. It's just ridiculous. And I spend so much time evaluating everyone. It's amazing. So I was like really hip to it this week. I taught myself a lot. And the other one was I've been real aware that the way I tell myself what I ought to do and ought to think and ought to do all of that stuff. And so I then behave like that and then stuffing what I really feel. And of course my body just like won't deal with that. Well, I'm having it certainly hasn't, except I'm trying to do it different now.
Cool. Yeah, you are doing it different.
And so the world is brand new, and now I feel like a newcomer. And so I was at James Graham's, and being there is like wonderful, and I had all these ideas about what I was supposed to do, except I wasn't comfortable there. And it wasn't my house, and I felt like I was walking on eggshells. And so I kept saying it was okay, because I had ideas about what it not being okay would mean. Bad is out bad. And I was just ready to come unglued. And so I finally left and went back home. And just let that be okay with me. And watching Jay be uncomfortable about it, not having to fix him or fix it or anything. Getting back home and realizing, I'm a homebody and that's just the way it is. And what I think about that is irrelevant. And I was so happy today. Drills and all. It was just so great. And that's a big thing for me. I've been stuffing things for years. I never realized it. I don't like the fact that I was trying to behave like other people like that. I have judgment about that, and it's all nonsense. And just being real is like so cool. And I'm really new at it, but this was very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Extremely helpful.
Your body will be grateful. Yeah.
I've had an interesting thing. I've kind of been watching how, I'll go back to physical stuff again. I've been trying to watch how for years I've tried to step into the other thought behind whatever's going on, the one that I think is the better thought, like, I don't have this sickness. But by thinking that, I'm affirming that there's still a sickness. I mean, I'm like, I'm watching both sides of the thought, and either side is the same thought. It's the exact same thing. So that's been really fun to play with. But one thing that has been coming up lately, I don't know, I'm kind of getting a kick out of this. My father has Alzheimer's, or this disease they call Alzheimer's. And so I'm watching what his mind is doing with his thoughts, and I'm finding this very interesting. Like, he's totally convinced he's walked throughout Europe. And it's just as real as if he has walked through Europe. Or we'll call him, and he just had a party last night. There's nothing in his home. And yet he can give you all the details and everything that happened. And this is a very cool thing to watch, because my thinking is probably that exact same thing. There's probably nobody there ever, or there isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at everybody feels so bad for him. I think he's having a great time. I'm not having to do anything, you know? But it's very interesting, the mind. Because what's real and what isn't, really. In his mind, it's all real right now.
It's as real as this.
Yeah.
Did you see that movie, The Magnificent Mind, or what was that? Remember the movie?
Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Where the guy, is seeing as reality this stuff that we would say is not there, and learn to live with the fact that everything he sees is hypnosis, and would ask somebody, like they said, we want you to come to Stockholm and receive the Nobel Prize. And he turns to the kid coming out of school and says, do you see him? Yeah. I mean, checking the reality level of it,
It's very interesting.
And that's true, and your dad's as right as you are.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting there beside him, and you're looking at the empty room, and he's looking at a full room, you're both hypnotized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fun Thanksgiving. When he was going to show up. Yeah, it's really interesting, yeah.
Who else? What thoughts are not hypnotized?
Yeah.
Anything like impartation, things that you get like by getting quiet.
Good answer.
And actually, that's one of the things that came to me. I had that question come through. Well, what isn't hypnosis?
Yeah. What of my thoughts are not hypnosis? What do I need to think about? Joanne and I and a couple others perhaps have played with the flashcard, this does not require my thinking. Is there ever a place we can't use that? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, there isn't. So what thoughts, what of my thoughts are not hypnotism? How about if I think I am that I am? Is that hypnotism?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly is. If I think I am, is that hypnotism?
Who I am.
Doesn't depend on who I am. If it's the capital I am, if it's the small I am, if it's the personal I am, if I think I am, is it hypnotism?
Well, who's thinking?
Isn't that what we call ego?
Here's where Cynthia's answer comes in right. If I hear I am, it's true. If I'm thinking I am, it can't be true. Because it's the wrong I. Exactly right, Cynthia. What else? Who else got tied up in that? Short class.
Mm.
Yeah.
The thing that I find interesting is that just sitting here, not talking verbally, but it's just KFUC, it's just going conversation in the head, words, phrases, thoughts, and it's just constant.
Yep. KFUC is just constant as long as you're dialed into it. If you really get that everything, I think, is hypnotism, then you can start disregarding it. You're not going to stop that endless thinking, endless sequence of thinking by stopping it, because that adds energy to it and supports it. And you're not going to stop that thinking by trying to think better thoughts, because of course that's thinking. Bhagwan used to say, how shall I stop my mind with my mind? And laugh. Giggle at us, not laugh. Titter at us. What you do is see that everything you think is hypnosis. And as you really see that, then you stop paying it any attention. And when you stop paying your thoughts any attention, you're no longer feeding them. And the only thing which is sustaining them is the fact that you're sustaining them. So the way to stop thinking endlessly is to withdraw your energy from it. Not try to stop, not try to change, not try to fix, not try to improve, not affirm that I don't need to think, but just stop paying any attention to it. See, that's the first one in mind.
Yeah, you know, what's been kind of going through my mind is that everything I see is the past. Because everything that all my concepts of all materialism is based on some sort of past.
Well, it's absolutely true. I mean, in modern science, it's absolutely true, because what I'm seeing is the result of photons reaching the retinas of my eye, and that means they left wherever they came from a while ago. You know, I mean, it's been very brief, but
even the concepts of everything, of people, of everything, is based on some past thoughts that keep on reverberating. And so, what I've been trying to do is like you go to work and you have concepts of everyone. You have a concept of your home. You have a concept of Hermosa Beach. You have So what I'm trying to do is like play with that.
It's all history.
Yeah, it's all history.
Incorrect history.
And I think you said that one time, is that when you're in a relationship, get rid of the concept so someone else new can show up for that day.
Yes, in the relationship book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that with not only with. It's like when you go to a new city and the city seems so different, but now you drive to work and you don't even see anything. A building can come up and you don't even see that, because your concept of driving to work is the same every day. So it's like nothing ever changes. Nothing really gets into our vision, because we've already laid out that concept.
If you have a concept, concepts are all in the past and expectations are all in the future, and none of them are real.
Yeah.
And you're not here.
Right.
when you're in either of them.
So I guess part of the white tantra thing was kind of cool, because it was so painful. I wanted to quit so bad, and but I didn't want to quit.
Yeah.
My mind wouldn't let me quit, but my mind wanted to quit. It was really interesting watching that.
Yeah.
I hurt so bad, but then you just kind of went through it. And but last night I was meditating. I usually don't meditate late at night. I meditated at like 12:30, and it was a total different experience than I've ever experienced before. Because usually in the morning when I meditate, the world's starting to float in. I'm thinking about things that I got to do, and like last night that wasn't the case, and it was just very interesting.
The 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. time is really good for meditating.
It was very, very interesting.
About 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, as the vultures get up and sit on the head of your bed, so you can wake up so they can jump on you and tell you what you should be doing today.
So I'm going to start doing that at night.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I think your body's tired too, so that it's not as active, at least for me anyway. So very interesting.
If you're thinking, not only is concepts keeping you in the past and expectations keeping you in the future, but if you're thinking at all, you're not here now. You can't think about what's here now, because syllable by syllable, it's gone. You can't think about what's here now. you want to be here now, you have to be quiet. Sonya's next, and then you start.
Well, it's just what you just said. I called you during the week, and you weren't as excited as I was. But it was.
Sorry about that.
It was everything I think is hypnotism, and I would get everything right when that word hit everything. Then I came to. Robert says a funny thing that you realize there's nothing to realize, and so I realized that word everything, that the rest of that process I was about to go through was hypnotism.
Part of it, yes.
So then I went right into into that moment to where it disappeared, and then it was just like, well, whatever, this is this. And I called you.
How it drops you, if you really get to everything, it'll drop you into the silence, just like self-inquiry. Yeah, go ahead.
That was it.
Yeah, it does.
That was all.
Cool. Is that it? Yeah, that's a great device. That's just like self-inquiry works the same way. Ooh. It's done. Sorry.
You were asking about what is not hypnosis, but this isn't on thinking. Is a feeling with no story, is that real? It's still hypnosis?
Well, if you're listening to Barbara, the claim is that feelings are real. But the question I would ask you is who's having the feelings? So it all depends on what level you're operating at. But no, it's all hypnotism. There's no feelings. There's no one to feel. That too is all part of the Leelaa.
Gosh, I had experiences with almost everything that's been shared so far. I actually thought about what Charlotte just shared about the feelings that came to me. That was one of the things that crossed my mind because I was having some feelings, and I thought about what I heard here. Feelings are valid, and then as I thought it all the way through, and is that true? Basically, is also hypnosis? So that was one that was presented itself to me, but. Gosh, I feel like the pressure valve has just been turned up, at least for me this week, as far as, with this last flashcard. It just felt like things were coming at me and presenting themselves in every area to be able to see it and also get caught up in it a little bit and then see it, and maybe it's just a coincidence of timing, but I seem to have a lot of things going on in my life that are folks that have to do with material sense, that are things in this world, and trying to show up for those things without getting sucked into them. I tend to be, when I get focused on something, go for it, or a little obsessive about it, and I found myself getting sucked in that way, and in a few different areas, and so, but I don't know, I don't know, usually I feel my mind is very busy this week, with thoughts and recognizing them, and it just felt like, I don't know, it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, just, I guess, realizing just everything that came through and recognizing and remembering it a lot. I did remember it. It came to my mind a lot as I was doing those things, but, I found myself almost powerless sometimes getting sucked into, recognizing it, but then just keep, chasing after that, whatever I was doing at the moment. And I also had the little thing about the pain thing. I rarely ever have any kind of accidents or cut myself, and I had 2 incidences where the appearance was that I broke something and my foot got cut open and it was bleeding, and then another one where a bowl of something cut my hand, and I'm like, and I got to use that as well, in the pain thing, and so just all kinds of different things. And those I was able to actually catch pretty quickly, and interestingly enough, they kind of just, I didn't get a lot of energy or attention, and they kind of just, disappeared, relatively quickly. So I got those kind of opportunities. And then one thing that really helped me that I heard I think I mentioned last week, is we came across these tapes, these Tony Tuchel tapes, and they're all about hypnotism. And so I haven't got through them yet, and I'm listening to them, and he said this great thing in there about anything I can name. He was talking about, well, what is material sense? And he says, anything I can name is material sense. And he was saying, if you can name it, release it. And so that was something that helped me remembering that. If I can name it, if I can put a name to it, then, and then to be able to drop it. And so it seemed like it kind of pertained to what I was doing.
Good, yeah, that's a good yardstick. Labeling is what humans do to keep them human.
Any other questions? Obviously, all of us in here work, and we have jobs, and we take classes, and we do things that require thinking at some level. What do I ask about that? I'll put it with me then. I was at a seminar for 4 days, learning all sorts of new information. But the difference it seemed this time is it wasn't attached to any of it. I was just taking it in, and then doing what I needed to do with it, and letting it be. And I guess for living in this world and having to do things, that's a far cry from where I used to be with it all. But if you live in this world and do things, you can't not ever just drop all your thinking. You have to think about, I'm taking a class, I have to read the book and take the test.
Sure.
And that's thinking. So you can't, but I'm just supposed to know that.
Just not necessarily, actually.
Okay, that's what I want to, my mind needs to know.
For all practical purposes, that appears to be true. But Robert talks about going to class, never doing his homework, and going to class to take the test, and he'd close his eyes and say, God, 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 3 times, and the answers would come, and he'd write them down. And Joel taught 1,200 hours of classes, and he was hearing those classes for the first time as he spoke them. He didn't think about what he's going to teach. He didn't prepare it. This is a teaching role of presenting a letter of truth, a philosophical, spiritual truth, and he didn't think and prepare the classes. He went up there and talked spontaneously. And Robert did the same thing. He talked spontaneously with no thought at all.
Tony Tuchel talks about the same thing frequently.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you do when you?
I don't have to think.
How does it come to you when you prepare for these?
I don't prepare.
Well, you write some and.
When I wrote the book, I listened to tapes, and what was going on with this book, 10, 12 months ago, was I was listening to a series of tapes that I knew was supposed to be for a class here, and I hear what's for the class. I can listen to an hour tape and hear 5 sentences. That's for the class, and it just says that's for the class. I just hear what's for the class, and I just write it down, and then it sorts and it comes out in the book. But I don't pre-draw an outline. I don't, outline the book and then fill in the words or anything like you're supposed to do when you write books. This stuff happens, and I sort it, and I just know what's supposed to happen. It's all spontaneous. It's not planned. I don't know what's going to be in the book.
But that's something to aspire to. In the meantime, if tomorrow somebody asks you, you're coming over and they really want you to talk to them a little bit about quantum physics, and you need, what am I trying to say?
Preparation.
Huh? Well, my teaching comes really like you're talking about.
Sure.
But other things have to prepare, it seems to prepare for, but I'm not attached or invested in them the way I used to be. It's very different than it used to be.
That's one important level. Thinking about shit is the cause of suffering.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes you need to give something a little thought.
Okay.
It appears that way. But in fact, you don't need to do that. And in fact, if somebody wanted to come over tomorrow and talk about quantum physics, I wouldn't do any preparation or think about what I was going to say. Whatever got said would be what was said, and it would be what current understanding I have is appropriate to the questions that are asked.
I have this clad test to take next week. Will you take it for me?
I might not know, sure, but I might not know the answer.
No, I understand that.
And I won't care.
There are some things you have to do for your jobs, and I mean, I'm not trying to throw any wrenches into this. I mean, there's some I have to do.
I hear what you're saying, and I hear how firmly you believe that there are times that you have to think, and the answer is no.
Okay. Well,
Actually,
I'll get there eventually.
yeah, I mean, actually, certainly, while we're living in two worlds, the preparation and the study and all that stuff to prepare for our God script is important stuff. Barbara says very much that we have to do the preparation, and that's all very important. But it's not. You know, and the fact is that if you're supposed to study, you can't not.
Right.
I mean, I have no idea why I've been reading those quantum physics books.
Mm-hmm.
There's no possible reason for that except that that's what I seem to be doing, you know, and I don't care. And when I walk with people, you know, I don't know what I'm going to say, and it doesn't happen so much anymore, but for years I used to walk along and I'd listen to what I'd say because that was the only way I could find out where they were up spiritually. You know, what I found is that what I say when I'm walking with somebody is always what they need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so by listening to what I say, I discover what they need to hear, and that I can infer what level they're at. But then I discover that nobody gives a shit what level they're at anyway. So it doesn't matter. But you know, like this whole last conversation, I haven't thought of. You know, I'm having as much fun right now as you listening to what's being said.
I keep thinking of, because I'm really relating to what you're talking about, and of course it's clear when you're talking about it, and I'm saying it, and I just keep saying, who thinks that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I know who it is in my experience, it's Joanne. I mean, Joanne's the one who takes the parenting classes, and Joanne's the one who thinks that there's a lot to learn. And Joanne's the one that's always trying to find a better way to do it. And Joanne's the one who wants to learn the language so that whoever she's talking to, she has accessibility to connect with that particular person. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's all what Joanne's doing. And to the
But
degree
if
that
Joanne never thought about any of that, she might do exactly those same things. She might go to the parenting classes, and she might get the vocabulary, and she might learn how to do all that sort of stuff without
the mental activity,
the driving thoughts about it.
yes. So the opportunity is to be in quiet mind and spontaneously watch yourself show up and do whatever you do.
Sure.
And just knowing that that's always an option, or having that awareness that there's an option here to be in quiet mind. There's an option here to be spontaneously responding to whatever it is without the mental activity.
If your mind is integrated.
Your mind is integrated.
If you don't have kids running rampant through your mind, setting up conflicting problems and emotions, and one wanting to do this, I mean, your own internal kids, one wanting to do this and one wanting to do this, and one driving you to do resistance behavior so they'll survive, and another one trying to even not do it if you got all that shit going on. That's why there's 3 prongs to this. You got to clean up the script, you got to clean up the kid, and you got to understand this stuff, because other than that, you can't have a quiet mind. The one that's integrated. When there's nobody, you know, I hate to say this.
There you go.
When there's no fear, and you truly don't give a shit about anything, then it can all happen spontaneously. I mean, when you're and not giving a shit is the wrong word. When you're not invested in anything is a much better way to say it. When you have no investment in anything being in any particular way, when you no longer think there's a way things ought to be, then your mind can be quiet and everything happens just exactly like it's supposed to, and it doesn't matter whether you think or not.
I like to not give a shit. I'm going to use that one at work. I don't give a shit.
It's important not to tell people.
I believe everybody has experienced that, or we couldn't even be sitting here talking about it. I believe that we've all experienced those moments of drop all concern, even if it's been moments.
Sure we have. Sure. Nobody's in this class that can't understand what's being said here. You wouldn't be
It's
here.
going to be exciting.
Yeah, you wouldn't be here if you couldn't understand what's being said here.
I was driving with someone, and she was talking about her boyfriend falling on his head. And when he fell on his head, he sat up and he was like a bug-eyed because he lost all of his language, everything. And he was just looking around. She brought him to ER, and she was so frightened. And the doctor, she said he lost all his language. In the meantime, he was just looking around. So the doctor leaned over and pinched his toe. This is true. And he got his language. He went, ow, and got it back. And I pulled the car over. I said, what the hell did he do that for? The guy was in bliss. You know, we're all talking about getting there. And some doctor.
Wow, I never saw one of those.
Well, she could understand why I was so upset.
Yeah.
I have a question about what you were saying about the integration and, you know, if you get kids that they're, you know, occupying your mind. I was thinking about that because I'm trying to do some things to, you know, some of the kid work, and I did something yesterday with my kids, took my kids horseback riding, and of course applying, this is something that I wanted to do, and just kind of all came together without, effortlessly, really. But as I was doing it, I was thinking, okay, the fact that I think that I need to do anything, you know, that horseback riding, you know, is hypnotism, that there is a horse, that I need to go horseback riding to appease my kid. So that, you know, that, I guess I kind of understand that if I do those things, it will, maybe that'll get me to the integration and I'll be quieter, but still it seems like it's speaking something in the material world, and so
It is. There's no question about it. And when we got to put in both worlds, that's where we are. You know, you have to deal with where you're at. The fact is that you don't have to do anything. The fact is that it's all a dream. The fact is that it's all hypnotism. But I don't believe you're going to find that you're capable of just accepting that fact and dropping all concern about everything. So you will continue to worry about something or other until you're done. See what I'm saying?
So in the meantime, why not try to, you know, do things that might help the, you know, to address the kid or whatever, and
Sure,
until I can get that, like.
It's a Leelaa. It's a game. It's the play is that we come in ignorant and we progress spiritually to transcendental consciousness. Okay, that's what the play is. Okay, that we're all in. But we're really the actor, not the role. But we're all playing this role, and so you have and with very few exceptions, you have to play the whole role. Sometimes you get real jumps so that you don't have to go through a bunch of stuff. You know, you don't have to do the kid work. You could, if you saw it clearly, if you really saw it clearly all the way down to your toes, you could be done with it in 1 second. Okay? But chances are that's not going to happen. Unless that's the way your particular role in the Leelaa was written. Okay? Which probably, and if it were written that way in this scene, it probably means that you did your kid work in your last life.
Or you could do it in the next.
Well, I think it has to be done in the last because you can't be kid-free without having done the work. It's there. Yeah.
So,
Were you done?
Yeah.
Okay, show me next.
I was listening to Joanne say all the things, this, and this, and this, and her thinking, and then you said, well, you can do that without thinking. And then what I was thinking was, those are things that bring her joy. So the parent class, so that she can think. And so without the thinking, there comes the harmony, which is, I guess, the default.
See, they may bring her joy, they may not. When she's going to the parenting classes because she's obsessed with being a good mother, she's getting no joy out of it at all.
Which is the thinking.
Which is the thinking.
But if there's no thinking and she does that, then it brings the harmony.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Sure.
so we were talking earlier today about self-care, which is, like, seems to be a big topic always for me. And like I did some writing a week ago, and I got these 5 things that some part of me thinks has to happen for me to be in self-care, right? And then I watched the week go by, and I didn't do a lot of them. And then there was all this mental activity about that, about, I'm not doing that. I'm not meditating enough, and I'm not exercising enough, and I'm not doing whatever it is. And then you said, why? Why aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, because my kid doesn't want to.
Yeah, because there's a conflict.
There's a conflict, right.
Mm-hmm. 2 people, one that wants to do it and one that thinks she should and the other one who doesn't want to.
Right. And so then the alternative to having this constant dialogue with myself, which is interesting because I have it with myself and then I have it with my 5-year-old. Mm-hmm. Here's what you want to do and here's what you need to do. And so the alternative to that is to never be thinking about what I need to do, ever. And just to spontaneously, in every given moment, watch whatever I do. And have no mental activity about it.
If you can do that. But that's what you're talking as if you could choose to have a silent mind. And the fact is, if you've got kids that are preventing you from eating, you'd better work on your kids and get to where you eat, otherwise you're going to starve in the Leelaa. If you've got these pieces in you, if you have something in there that's preventing you from taking care of yourself, you probably ought to address that issue. And now we're talking about doing the kid work or the script work. You need to address that issue. If you've got one part of you that says, I need to take care of myself, and another part of you that says no, I don't want to do that, then you've got a conflict going on inside of you, and you're not yet integrated, and you have a kid there.
But what if it's just a judgment that says it's never good enough?
Then you're a kid. You have to work with that kid. Because that's not true. It's a lie. It's a kid. And you're going to have to put that down before you can get quiet. And we need to, while we're doing this foot in both worlds, we need to deal with details like taking care of ourselves. I mean, the way to get the kid quiet is to take care of the kid so that it can relax, so that it can give up the fear, so that it can stop the resistance behaviors, so that you can integrate it.
Yeah, I kind of had a realization the other day about this. It's kind of like the free will term that you have. And I was laying in bed and I was thinking about all this, thinking about thoughts. And then all of a sudden I was downstairs and I had like a bagel in the toaster. And I was like, wow, I didn't even really think about that.
That's right.
And the realization was kind of like, I'm gonna do whatever I'm going to do. And I'm always going to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I need to be thinking about those things, and it doesn't matter. The thought doesn't drive. Like there's really no thought doesn't drive action. It's like action just happens. You can think about how you got there, or the story that led you to there. It's all illusion.
It's just nonsense. You can tomorrow morning, assuming you don't have a deadline to get somewhere, you can wake up in the morning and refuse to decide to get up. I am not going to think about getting up, and I am not going to decide to get up. And you can sit there and you have all the thoughts running about I need to be here the rest of my life, and yada, 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 and all these thoughts will go. And sometime not too far in the future, you will find yourself in the bathroom brushing your teeth. Your mind went off thinking about something else, and the body got up and it went over there and it started brushing its teeth. And the fact is, you're in the bathroom brushing your teeth and you haven't had a thought about it. Your last thought about getting up was laying in the bed, just refusing to think about it. You can all try that. It will work. It will happen. You will get up and you will not think about it. All of a sudden, you will discover that you have gotten up. So go practice that and then come back and let's talk about free will.
Yeah. And that happens many times if you catch it driving.
All the time.
Like all of a sudden you'll just be somewhere and think, God, I wasn't paying any attention the last 7 blocks.
Driving certainly doesn't require 40 miles.
Yeah, I mean, you're just there.
The robot doesn't require your thinking. It knows how to do all this stuff.
And what's so interesting about that is I find that I get my most creative thoughts about my art when I'm in that space of not thinking, when I'm doing something else.
When you're in the zone.
Absolutely.
When you're in the zone, when you're not thinking about it is when you're productive. When you're not thinking about it, you'll get the better results on your test. When you're not thinking about it, you'll write the better paper. When you're not thinking about it, you'll have the greatest creativity.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking about it, you're not in the now.
Right.
You're not here.
And so your mind's kind of tricked when you're in a place where it thinks it's doing something else that's really doing nothing. That's very
interesting.
interesting.
The zone is about you're not thinking about it.
Like the worrying is not preparation.
Yeah, right.
If you're worried about it and thinking about it,
worried about preparation, exactly.
In this example where you're driving and you go 5 miles without realizing how you did it, aren't you more daydreaming than being present in a spot of...
Possibly. You maybe, I have no idea what you're doing. You might be listening to the radio. You might be doing 100 things, but the point is that you certainly didn't require your thinking.
Or I thought that was when you were thinking so much about everything else that you weren't where you were. It could be either one.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, when you find yourself in the bathroom brushing your teeth, it wasn't because you had this long pause of silence. It's because you were all thinking about something else. And I don't know whether it was daydreaming or planning your day or writing a paper or fantasizing. I don't know what you were doing, but the fact is you will discover that you were brushing your teeth at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the classes here was about that the body's going to do what the body's going to do. Like, it came here to carry out its mission, and you can either go along with it or try and steer it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the body's doing what the body's doing. Yeah, Robert will say unequivocally that the body is going to do exactly what it came in here to do. And he will, he's adamant about the fact that you never need to think about anything. And be realistic about that. So I have an important decision to make. Am I going to do A or B? Okay, and so I choose A, and the mind starts talking about B, and then I choose B, and the mind starts talking about A, and no matter what I do, it's back and forth. And I finally make an attitude, by God, I'm going to do B no matter what. And I go there and do A. Right? Has that happened to you? Yeah. I mean, you absolutely decide, you've reasoned it all out and brought your best intellect and done the research and everything, and you go there and you just do the other thing. Okay? Now, explain that one. Because you were programmed to come in and do the other thing. That what's really driving has nothing to do with this rationalization that's going on in your head. That's not what's driving. Even though you think it's driving, that's not what's driving.
So we're all going to have to be silent for the next 7 days, huh?
Perfect.
That's the next flashcard.
You got it.
I know. Because the problem is talking. Because the more you talk, the more you think.
The new flashcard, just so anybody will know it now since you got it. Everything I speak is hypnosis. And then we'll stop, by the way. That will be the last one for this cycle. That's hard enough. But yeah, that's the new flashcard. Everything I speak is hypnosis.
Is that why sometimes you can be talking and realize that you're saying something, like for me, I talk and sometimes I'll be going along with something somebody's saying or saying something that I know is not true and thinking and finding the words come out of my mouth or agreeing with something that I know is counter to what
Yeah, that's hypnosis, but even if it's your very best thought, and it's your current thought, and you're giving it all your best thinking about it, and you're sure it's right and everything like that, that's still hypnosis. No different from your thoughts. If you can't have a thought that's not hypnosis, how can you have a statement, a sentence that's not hypnosis? But let's focus on everything I speak is hypnosis to see what new insights that brings to us. But we don't need to stop now, it's just that Joanne correctly pegged it. So I thought I'd talk to it. What else?
one really helpful thing that you said to me before was, I was talking about a friend and saying, you know, whatever my concepts about this person were, you know, Larry this, Larry that, Larry this, and then you said, and then I said, and it's not true, and it's not, and you said, and there is no Larry. And that was like the whole bubble just, and I reflect back on that a lot. And I used to do this mantra when I was running, like, no thinking, no judgments, no Joanne. No, but I can, and then quiet mind at the end of that.
Yeah, if you get there, you betcha.
That's it.
Anything you can drop into that silence for a second or two is solid gold. What happens, Greg, is that after you see the gap between the thoughts, then you've seen something, and then as you proceed, the gaps get longer and more frequent, until eventually it's more gaps than thoughts.
So where's the soul in all this dream? Where's the soul in all this dream? There's the soul
Part of the dream. Part of the dream.
Which part?
No, I'm saying it's the soul is part of the dream.
So the soul doesn't exist either.
If by soul you mean that part of you which reincarnates over and over into different bodies and all that and is growing spiritually, that's all part of the Leelaa.
Which is the dream.
Yeah. If by the soul you mean the expression of God as whatever God has expressed itself as, then that's eternal.
That's what I mean.
And has nothing to do with it.
There is something.
Oh yeah, there is something.
What is
But something's nothing.
There is something. There is something that is something. There is something that is something. It's just not this. But there is something there.
That's what Joel says, you know. Barbara was talking about where she finally got the fact that there is no God. And Joel says, oh, you really got that? And she says, yeah. And she tells him why it is that there is no God. And Joel looks at her and smiles and says, but there is something, you know. And yeah, I mean, the fact that this is all hypnosis doesn't mean that there isn't something that isn't hypnosis. But if it's a concept in your mind and you're a human being, then it's hypnosis. Concepts. What we're seeing, what we're hypnotized into seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling is our concepts about what is expression of itself as what is. And that expression is the eternal reality, the eternal ongoing, unfolding, ever creative what is. But what we see is, at this level of ignorance, is our human concepts of that. The human concepts of that is pure hypnosis, because it brings in all the duality of good and evil and all the two ends of the sticks.
You said what we experience with our senses is just our concepts about what is, expressing individually.
What is expressed, is expressing. And we, at this stage of our development as human beings, are seeing human concepts of that expression. And we're seeing human concepts that, you know, at the start of this path, we're seeing human concepts that correspond to the five senses, which is the material human concepts, and we progress into mental concepts, and then we progress into transcendental understanding. And each one is closer to what's there. But what you're getting through your five senses is concept. And again, I say, the fact that you can do that tonight in a dream and have an experience that is in no essential way different from this experience should be ample demonstration of that fact when you think about it. That dream is all in your mind and all in consciousness. And so is this, all in your mind and all in consciousness.
So I have a real strong concept that I have a bad cold right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that I have a real attachment to not. I have such a strong preference for not having a cold. My mind is way more active about that.
Mm-hmm.
Last night I was eating Thai food and just having this experience that, wow, this isn't real. I'm putting Thai food that doesn't exist into a body that doesn't exist, But the cold to me exists. My mind says, well, it's as real as the Thai food. It's as real as this other unreal stuff. And I'm sitting here listening to people. I start to, I try to make a case to myself that a cold somehow isn't hypnosis, and I can't make the case. It falls apart, But I just notice how active my mind is, and it's just, I don't have any answer for it, but oh wow. And how much worry and how much in the future I had to fly on a plane and crap, it's going to plug up my ears more, and, when I wake up in the morning, will it still be here? And, go and interview this dude. Will I feel like I prefer, and just how often those thoughts, and how much more striking they are. Like I had that rash on my hand experience while we were doing these exercises, and I didn't have any preference about the rash. So it just, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't exist. And the next time I looked, just out of curiosity, there was no appearance of it. But it just, I don't know, I guess I'm asking what's, when I'm attaching to thoughts about something that appears to be happening in the Leelaa, is there any other answer than just, oh well, is there a thing to do about that?
No.
No.
See it clearly. Recognize who it is that recognize what it is. What you're saying is that you are firmly attached to your body and therefore are very concerned about things that bring discomfort and very casual about things that don't bring so much discomfort. A rash on the hand is no big deal, but a cold is a big deal. You're saying you're human. You're saying you have plans and airplane plans and things that the cold might conflict with, and you have this plot that you've got laid out, and you're seeing potential conflict with it, and you're saying that you're still human, which all of us could say. You're just observing the level to which you're buying it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the fact is, just observe it. All you can do is see it clearly, see what's going on. And then ask yourself, have you ever had a dream in which you had a cold?
I also notice that the thoughts that trouble me are all about the future, even if it's just the next minute. It's not unbearable to have a cold at this second, especially not sitting here. But it's, how long will it last, and what do I get on the plane, so what do I do? Is there something I do?
All thoughts are about the future or the past. And thoughts about the past don't trouble you. They may bring you guilt and shame and remorse and all that, but we dealt with that 3 or 4 weeks ago, so we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah. I missed that
But all thoughts are about the future, and you can't possibly have a problem right now. You get that it's impossible to have a problem right now. Because I can't have a problem unless I'm labeling it a problem, and if I'm labeling it a problem, that means I'm thinking, and if I'm thinking, I'm not right now. I'm in the future. So all my problems are about stuff that's going to happen in the future. There are no problems right now. And therefore, there are no problems. There can't possibly be a problem. Problems require thinking, and thinking is in the future. Even historical things are, even if we're thinking about something we did in the past, the reason we're thinking about it is because it's going to do to us in the future, right? So it's all thinking in the future. So there can't possibly be a problem. I just refuse to accept the fact that anybody can have a problem. No? You got one?
Well, I gotta tell you, the more we talk, the more confused I get, because, you know,
How are we getting this?
I just got this concept that my role right now in this Leelaa is wife and mother. Okay, that's my role. And I read your thing today, thanks to Michelle, on your website, that, you know, it's all about us just playing the role, but not, how did that go? Just playing the role as a character as best we can, knowing that that's just a role, and it's just an act.
You can do that.
And yet with my role as wife and mother, to me come along, and I get just ideas of what that role means, that otherwise I wouldn't have any idea what that role means. But somewhere along the way, society has given me what that role means.
Right, you're conditioned.
And so now I'm being told that if transcendental consciousness is to let go of all those things I've been told this is the role. I still got the role, I guess. I don't really know. If I let go of my concepts, maybe I don't have a role. And so now I'm a little confused because I just really don't know how to play this role as apparently wife and mother right now without the actors are given us, they're given lines to say, they're given roles to play. That's how they become actors, right? They're given scripts to read and act out. And where do I get that?
You really don't need to take the analogy down to the very last detail. I mean, you know, you can always drive an analogy beyond where it's true, but essentially it's all true. Yeah, you've been conditioned into what you think mother and wife should be, and notice the use of the word should be. There is no such thing as should be. And if you had achieved transcendental consciousness, you would still be a wife and a mother, assuming you didn't get divorced, and you would still be a mother in either case. So you would still be a wife and mother, and you would still be fulfilling some sort of a role as wife and mother. Okay? You would be doing something. I mean, it might be a bad mother role, it might be a good mother role. I mean, I don't know what it was, but it wouldn't be to you. It would be a bad mother role or a good mother role to them, but it wouldn't be a bad mother role or a good mother role to you. It wouldn't be anything like that at all. You would just be doing what you're doing. Taking care of your kids, taking care of your husband, or not, depending on what you came here to do. Wonderful Joel tape today about talking exactly about giving up attachments to everything, and he's including taking care of your kids, he said. Think of the arrogance you've got to think that God couldn't take care of your kids without you. So, I mean, Joel's really quite willing to drop all attachment to these roles of being a caretaker for our parents or our children or whatever. You know, God, maybe it was Barbara who actually heard the voice say, "You think I can't do that?" when she was unwilling to relinquish her role as the caregiver for her children. And you know, the voice said, "You think I can't take care of that without you?" So, I mean, yes, you have your concepts about what those roles are, but if you had a transcendental consciousness, you wouldn't have a concept about what those roles are. And you would still be doing some sort of a role. I mean, we are all in relationship with everybody. Whether or not we label it or classify it is irrelevant.
So the quiet mind experience means that I'm running on intuition. I'm spontaneously responding moment by moment, and my intuition is my script. My intuition is the guide. It's the God script that takes over, and I'm not using my mental
See, you're not there.
faculty. I'm not there.
You're not there. God is doing
God is doing
as you what it created itself as, manifested itself as you to do. And you can pretty well trust that that's going to work out, because there's very little chance that God is not going to provide itself with whatever it needs to do what it is that it manifested itself as you to do. So when you get there, you can drop all concern.
When we talk about that in AA, we say, get out of the way.
That's right.
Let it happen.
That's right.
Put your spiritual life first. Focus on your God consciousness. And let the relationship work itself out. Let the job situation work itself out. You focus on praying and meditating and being in God awareness.
Absolutely.
Get out of the way.
It is fundamentally very sound spiritual.
Yes.
Well, everything she was saying, AA says, some of us try to hold on to our old ideas and hold on until we let go.
Right. No, that's absolutely. Let go of the
That's the concept. People are wiggling out of here, so I think we're running over, so let's get going. Let's get going. All right. Everything I speak is hypnosis.
What?
From that statement.
Let us know.
Okay, thanks for coming. Love you all.
Thanks for playing.